Welcome back here at Goldberg. Today we'll be talking about to what degree, if any, things are actually changing in our world. And, it's been a crazy last 5 or 6 months if you guys paid attention. Just off the top of my head, Andrew Tate's censorship party. Then you had, of course, the midterm elections, the Nick Fuentes controversy, Kanye West, Elon Musk and Twitter. More recently, Andrew Tate got arrested. Now Jordan Peterson's being sent to a gulag. You had this crazy House Speaker election, almost as though we are all the TikTok generation. We can't stop and talk about a subject for a month. It has to be a new story or we'll lose interest. So that may genuinely speak to the claim that we're in a simulation. But who can say? Nevertheless, I thought we would delve into this subject because what you've probably heard for a long time, as I have, living in a liberal social order, and I think this might just be a constituent factor, that figures come out who appear to be challenging the establishment, but there's always an upward limit. And when they reach that, folks will go, well, isn't there something more? And the fans of those individuals will go, well, at least a lot of people are getting red-pilled, which you might say this with Biden's bitches. Right? As much as many of these people were red pill, right wing, don't tread on me, they went ahead and did it, and they're like, well, now they're red pilled. And that's okay, good. But will they have another chance to take the red pill option? I'm not convinced that they shall. Hopefully they are all right. But my point is, you see how no matter how much people will question, there's still a lot of belief in the model. Sort of deep down, most people don't want to give it up. And so they will only progress to a degree. And many, to be honest, will stay at that mile marker for the duration of their natural lives. So that's what we had to get into with this video, to get a sense of whether we're genuinely going to see a lot of change or it's just a blip on the radar. We can begin here by discussing Dr. Jordan Peterson. So this is back, we're getting to almost 10 years. Obama's second term, a lot of conservatives are afraid of being out of the closet, expressing their views against the woke left. This guy comes on the scene and starts challenging them on this question of compelling people to use transgender pronouns, which is a good thing. And then he discusses tyranny and feminism and self-improvement. And I started tuning him out very quickly because I never felt his takes were particularly interesting outside of maybe the Jungian psychology discussion. But okay, he's at a measured impact. Now, especially in the last year, Peterson has shown himself for how far he will go, because he'll say something like, "Up yours, you woke villains!" But then he's hobnobbing with tolerance of liberal left. I agree with that. And Bibi Netanyahu. So you can tell if you tell him to discuss certain subjects, he shrivels up and starts attacking you. He becomes very emotional. He was even attacking Andrew Tate, or sort of trying to analyze him as a dark triad. There's a claim that, of course, Andrew Tate pumped and dumped his daughter. I don't know if that's true. But the point being, Peterson, he serves his purpose, but then he's also a member of the social vanguard. He doesn't want things to be disheveled too much. He wants to keep his money going. He wants to keep his comfortable life, where he's knocking down, I don't want to say windmills, but he's knocking down relatively non-threatening aspects of society. He's not truly getting at the core of it. And you'll see this with a lot of folks. They might go, the government's lying to us. Yeah. They lied about, liberals are the real racists. The Republicans are the ones who freed the slaves. Yeah. They lied about the truth and origins of World War II. Now hold on there, Sparky. We've got to be very careful about observing history. So this is just typical human behavior, to be honest. And Peterson, in particular, as much as he criticized wokeism and tyranny, he revealed himself when it came to this whole psyop of the last couple of years, which I will talk about in a separate video, because I don't think there should be all this controversy at this point. If you're still shilling for the narrative and then claiming that you're like red-pilled, there's a big problem there. But what I would say is that when it came down to it, when he could have made a stand, he had plenty of money where he could have gotten out of Canada. He could have, done remote work. There was nothing stopping him. What was his response? And I was like, just take the damn vaccine. So you see how a lot of these folks ultimately will squish when the powers tell them. They're not going to go against the machine too much. This brings me to another subject of importance. If you know Roma Army, she is this content creator in the manosphere. She is a walking Richard Cooper red flag, covered in tattoos. She had short hair for a long time. She has piercings. I think now she's growing her hair long to be more trad and play the part. But she's basically the chick that, makes you feel good about being a man that doesn't get attention from women. And she hasn't been on the scene that long. She has 1.23 million YouTube followers. Her Patreon alone, 827 subscribers, almost 25K a month that she's earning. All right? And that's not counting possible super chats, sponsorships, affiliate links, other stuff she might put out there, ads. She's probably making 400K a year easily with all that stuff put together. And it makes you, you have to feather the question. So, Rolly Tomaso has 200,000 followers. He's been doing this stuff for 20 years. He's considered like the godfather of the manosphere. Richard Cooper has 630,000, I believe. So that's not bad, but in comparison, a woman who just parrots other people's ideas does so much better among guys that are supposedly red-pilled. And, they've taken the mask off. They know what's going on. But they're still slaves to that holy, moist valley. They can't, essentially this whole enterprise, if you will, of the woman who tells you that you're right, who's a conservative, who criticizes those bad girls. It's dynamite. And it's getting to the point where these women are going to run the manosphere if this keeps happening. Because they have the most influence. They have the largest numbers of followers. And you're saying, what's going on here? Even more recently, you saw the rise of just Pearly things. She is a basic, bottom-ass, dusty Becky, and she just comes out of nowhere. I think she just hit 1 million followers on YouTube. And it's the same thing. It reminds me of, you guys recall Nala Girl? She was a chick that would come on and be like, yeah, you MGTOWs are right. Women are out of control. Yeah. And a lot of dudes simp for her, and then I guess some of them got pissed off because they realized that for this trad white woman, her husband's phenotype didn't quite match up. Apparently it's the same with just Pearly things. She's bisexual and into historically butthurt Americans, which is what it is. The point being that why are you men even following these women in the first place when they are literally just telling you what you want to hear? It's all, honestly, I would say, ego projection. You've got sub-5 men who don't get play from women. And so instead of facing those facts in a black-pilled but rational manner, what they do is they come up with this whole fantasy of the good girl, the one who she's just looking for a husband. She just wants kids. Once she kisses you, she'll never look at another man sexually again. I mean, it's just nonsense. You're trying to project your frustrations with not getting women onto this idea of the woman who would really she likes me for me, that kind of mentality. It is, fundamentally corrupt in my opinion because it's denialism. These guys take the red pill so-called, but they really just want to be in a new playpen where they believe they're going to find this fantasy chick if they just do X, Y, Z. Put it in reverse. If I said, you're a good boy, what does that mean? I'm like a Christian or a Muslim, and I only want one woman. I'll never be sexual again. Like, get the hell out of here. You ain't Nikolai Ceausescu. And he probably was banging women on the side anyway. No, okay? You're just, dude, you would love to be living the life of the guys who are smashing left and right. Don't come up with this nonsense about how, I'm above that. No, you're not. We have to be realistic, right? But again, these women are going to run the manosphere. So you say, are guys really getting red-pilled? Or are the bulk of them, the majority of them, just moving into a new zone where they can dream up this fantasy of the girl who's different from all the other ones?
that I'll find magically because I'm a good boy. I do, I do my chores and I pray 5 times to Ronald Reagan.
And so this brings us to Andrew Tate. When he was popping up for the last year and a half, 2 years, I never gave him much mind because I saw the whole like, oh, I'm an alpha male. I just go to sleep when I hear people do that. The super narcissistic dark triad stuff, it has really no interest for me. But when he got censored back in, was it September or something like that, I watched about 30 minutes of that interview with Patrick Bet David, and I said, okay, this guy seems to be pretty competent. He's saying some good stuff. He's better than Jordan Peterson in terms of red pilling people, if you will. But it's still the same in the sense that it's not much difference from what we've been seeing from a lot of these red pill guys for years. They say controversial things. They try to play out the algorithm. Now, people who know him have claimed, oh, he's not like this in real life. He's actually really stoic. He just does this for business. But you're saying, doesn't that make him kind of less sincere? In the sense that this don't hate the player, hate the game justification has been used, forever, honestly. And it's really corrupt because what it means is that you justify the system just because you're trying to make money, but nothing actually changes. If the right way would be, he says he's a Muslim, if it means, okay, I'm just going to have a heart-to-heart with men about following Allah, living a good life, but that's not going to get him as many views. So he has to put up this whole, I'm such a badass, I get these women, I got all this money. You're leading people into a very hedonistic, materialistic lifestyle. But you're claiming that, oh, well, it's just for business. So should people trust what you say in the first place, right? I get that, yeah, it seems like a losing battle, but it would seem to me, once you have a decent amount of clout, like he was a fighter or whatever, why do you have to still resort to all this bluster, manipulation, insincerity online? When you still you have enough clout, you could build a following, maybe not as large, but you could still be able to follow him. All right. And what happens is a lot of his marketing model that he's done over the last couple of years, it's questionable whether he actually is challenging anything, because when you go about trying to get these hoes to do online cam videos, making money off of simps, and then you turn around and you go, well, you got to hit the gym, you got to make loads of cash, be the best so that women want you. Well, you're just keeping people on that hamster wheel. You're not fundamentally saying that the behavior of women, you can criticize it, but then you're telling guys to do something that honestly just worsens it, because then the baseline becomes, we talked about this for a long time, the baseline is the guy who's got big muscles, tons of money, but sometimes that's not enough because your face isn't good enough. Then you have to do like the plastic surgery or whatever. It's this endless repetition when in reality, people have to wake up and recognize that the only thing that is going to change is if women do not have the same economic empowerment they did in the past. That's the only way this is fundamentally going to shift, is when they are more dependent on men financially. So you can say all this stuff about being alpha, being a tough guy, but is it really going to change? Now, was he taken down by the elites? It's possible. I honestly believe, though, it may not have been human trafficking. They might have just used that as the fig leaf. I suspect they got him on money laundering because the EU, and Romania is part of the EU, there was a lot of bad information going around. Romania is an EU member state. The EU the last couple of years has been really big on tax evasion. So if he got a bunch of cryptocurrency and he didn't report it correctly, like Monero or whatnot, they might have caught up with him on that. That's a lot easier to get people on financial crimes than you sexually harassed or assaulted some woman. So you have to ask the question, how much are you really moving the dial when you're just getting more people on the same hamster wheel instead of telling them to throw out the model completely? So we'll see if maybe once he gets out of prison, if he changes his tune. But if he keeps just trying to promote his course, his multi-level marketing, I'm not sure if he's really doing much except raising the hopes and expectations of young men to perhaps unrealistic levels. So we'll have to see where it plays out. I'm still uncertain about this guy, what he's going to do in the future. So I'm not going to be too firm in my judgment at this point. So finally we arrive to the point where this, well, at least people are getting red-pilled, filters into the political realm. And much was made the last decade or so of these national populists getting influence in Europe. But you ask yourself again, this is not black-pilled, it's just a genuine query. How much of a difference is it really making? So in Sweden, 2010, the Sweden Democrats, they got like 20 seats. There was this big uproar. Then in 2014, they get some more. 2018, some more. They had a chance to join a coalition government, but then Annie Loof, or Luff, of the Center Party, she said no, she joined the Soc Dems to prevent that from happening. So finally in 2022, they're outside of the government doing confidence and supply to the moderate party, Ulf Kristersson. You're like, all right, that's not terrible. They're going to tighten crime policies and migration policies. All good things. Nevertheless, you still have large populations of people who by this point have gotten civic national protections, are probably not removable exactly. You're not overhauling the entire system and concept of citizenship, right? Similarly to that, in Italy, Meloni came in, and they were sending more boats. And they're like, well, we're going to kind of limit the boats, but we do not question their right to seek asylum. Well, you should be. You're a nationalist party. You're supposedly against all this stuff. But you notice how this is all being controlled by the system. Yeah, you can have your national populist coalition government, but you can only go so far. I guarantee you if she said, we're not taking any asylum seekers, that government, they would do something behind the scenes. So it's not to be cynical, it's to say the system is very good at controlling the limits of these so-called red pill extremes. And unless people actually get to the point where they say, we want to change the thing completely, you are going to be limited. But strangely enough, that's the beauty of liberalism. It persuades a lot of normies that they have power because they cast a ballot. They don't really have to do much. They don't have to truly change the way they live. They can still collect their fiat, go on their vacations, watch the football. It'll all just kind of sort itself out if you elect someone. I talked about this years ago with Jair Bolsonaro. The naive belief that you can just get everything together because you elect a person. No, societal change has to be a lot deeper than that. And granted, some people are heading in that direction, but I'm not sure how many are. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts. Do you really believe we're on this continuous red pill snowball to something bigger? Or are a lot of people falling off the closer you get to the bigger questions, the untouchables, those who must not be named or cucked? That's what we have to understand. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, you're getting red pilled. You're going from one simulation into another one. Just a simulation that to you is more appealing, has better aesthetics, and is more likely to keep you occupied for the duration of your life.